A look at 460 billion years of life on Earth.
What was that experience? About 460 billion years ago, dispersed gases and particles in the solar system. After billions of years of contraction and in the constant collision and condensation of the heart, our planet was formed. But the Earth was very hot at this time. No hard surface, only the vastness of the face. The temperature even exceeds 200 degrees Celsius. 450 billion years ago, a planet called Theia collided with Earth. The shockwave it generates spreads rapidly. Massive amounts of debris were sprayed into space. Under the influence of the attack, eventually formed our moon. And because of this violent collision, also caused the Earth's rotation speed at that time becomes very fast. There are only 6 hours in a day. Over the next 300 million years, with asteroids and comets, the stars continue to collide violently, make the Earth sigh in the abyss. At the same time, heat generated by volcanic eruptions and meteorite impacts. It also brings a lot of moisture, and so it rained heavily for millions of years. Finally, 420 billion years ago, the formation of primordial oceans. The Earth has since become an ocean planet and began to have the conditions for life. About 390 billion years ago, life first appeared on Earth. It is the origin of all things. A single-celled organism named Luca. Then came 2.60 billion years ago. By this time, land lava had been erupting for millions of years. Massive amounts of toxic gas filled the sky. The Earth is blanketed in huge clouds of methane. The entire exterior shows a yellow celestial body. But at this time, plankton appeared in the ocean. Their cellular structure is more complete. Even photosynthesis evolved. Starts producing a lot of oxygen, and it builds up, transforming the Earth into a blue planet. This is the Earth's great oxidation event. It is also due to this occurrence of this results in a massive depletion of greenhouse gases in the air. This caused the Earth's temperature to suddenly drop sharply. 240 billion years ago, the Earth has undergone a long, tens of millions of years of Huron ice age. During this time, the process of life was briefly interrupted. The Earth became a snowball. With underwater volcanoes, activity, a lot of greenhouse gases are gradually dissolved. Glacier, the sun shines brightly on Earth's oceans again. For hundreds of millions of years to come, life evolves very slowly. Until one day, 160 billion years ago, so the real bacteria and the bone mold inadvertently fused together and gradually evolved into truth and biology. Became the greatest miracle in the history of biological evolution on Earth. Time came 600 million years ago. Eukaryotes finally ushered in a burst. Purify a large number of soft curvature cells. Invertebrates began to appear. They composes the most unique group of Ediacaran biota, and in the face of abundant resources and the right environment and a lack of predators, made the creatures of this period choose to be content with the status quo. 540 million years ago, emergence of amputated became a nightmare for these lower invertebrates. They trampled on the bones of the Ediacarat, keep going, and pulled away the first grand curtain in the history of life on Earth. 5 seasons of life explosion. The oceans here are more spectacular than ever. The first overlord shrimp hunting with impunity. Trilobites with hard armor are also present, waiting for an opportunity, as well as Appa, Marina scorpion, creatures of various bizarre shapes such as strange nitrogen. At the same time, the earliest vertebrates on Earth also appeared. A fish-like creature, a seamouth fish. It is because of their existence to form such a magnificent ancient ocean. The time has come 510 million years ago. The land is barren at this time. Not fit for life, live near land near the ocean. There are species that take the lead in challenging. First, it's a symbiotic complex of algae and fungi. It is because of this magical combination that, to conquer this impoverished land, and his greatest masterpiece, no doubt it spread the military threat underground, then slowly decomposed the hard rock. The Earth thus produced its first soil. It paved the way for later plants. Pretty soon, the first plants appeared on land. They only have one layer of cells on their leaves, although it cannot grow upward, but they can reproduce at breakneck speed. In a very short amount of time, they covered the entire continent, and over the next 40 million years, became the only overlord on the Earth at that time. Here we go. Let's go back 468 million years. The ocean at this time, something big has happened, and blooming a whole new era of life. This is the Autogy big radiation of life. Compared to the Cambrian, the size of the animals increased several times during this period. Ovids began to flourish. It was a life and death moment. The trilobite family still exists, and their armor became stronger. And those opponents have naturally become more terrifying. When the body length can reach a room angle of 9 meters, successfully defeated the strange shrimp, became a new generation of ocean overlords. At the same time, a very important new form of life has also emerged. The world's first early fish with vertebrae, snapper. They will create amphibians later, reptile, mammals and birds and so on. But today's human ancestors, still in the early stages of a long journey. As time goes by again, 460 million years ago, dangerous plants on land, successfully evolved lignin, makes them grow bigger. To compete for sunlight, they also started a fierce competition. A shocking plant explosion has officially arrived. But here's what's surprising. It is here that everything is over 20 million years old. When it is booming, Earth, but ushered in the first extinction event in history, the Orteozi extinction 445 million years ago. Due to the atmosphere, rapid decline in carbon dioxide levels, the Earth is protected from greenhouse gases, sending temperatures into an extreme pattern. The water rapidly cooled and froze. More than half of the world has been frozen into ice, and under this beautiful and enchanting ice crystal pattern, it has also become the tomb of all things. This incident directly resulted in 85% of the deaths. But there is also a part of it, adaptable creature, choosing to migrate to deep-sea areas so that the spark of life can be preserved. Nightmares always wake up one day. After the great frozen 2 million, global temperatures are slowly starting to rise. A magnificent meltdown has begun. For thousands of years, almost all the glaciers have disappeared. The Earth has returned to its azure blue color, and we enter the detention season for life recovery. During this period, not only did it take more than 20 million years repairing the wounds of the Orthozoic extinction, there's a great revolution underway. As the Earth's temperature rises, plankton started blooming. Although the animals in armor are satisfied, dominated the oceans during this period, but once inconspicuous vertebrate fish then start quietly. They spent a long time, evolved a movable jaw. Finally, 400 million years ago, with the explosion of the fish age, Earth has officially entered the Devonian period, and the oceans during this period, certainly a paradise for vertebrates, and fish again exhibits a high degree of diversity. Among them, as a representative of astute skin more suitable for hegemony, the biggest marine predator of the Devonian age. Their body length is 10 meters, weighs 4 tons, and not only has incredibly hard armor, its bite force is also amazing. Even the very tall boulders of India can also be bitten into pieces. It can be said to have an amazing jaw, with a flexible spine. Such a perfect combination, so much so that the vertebrates that follow go forward. And naked digging plants, real dig plants, growing into a towering tree more than 10 meters tall. Forest formation, soil and atmospheric components are optimized. Terrestrial life begins to bloom. As the first amputated animal to land, he also became the first overlord of this pristine rainforest. One day, 370 million years ago, there was an incident, a major miracle in the history of biological evolution. The only meat-finned fish to breathe with lungs under the constant pressure of stewed skinfish, climbing to the beach for the first time, completed the landing feat, and that's why, only in the future did the largest land on the world be created. Region. It can be said that all the birds and beasts today, we evolved from it, even as humans. Perhaps it is because Deng Xiu's existence is too heaven-defying, and nature decides to do it again. 360 million years ago, submarine volcanoes and diamond pillars suddenly erupt in succession. Hot lava causes sea temperatures to rise rapidly. Let this originally thriving ocean. From then on, it fell into a terrifying purgatory. Although the semi-genus fish group failed to cross the tribulation, survived. Until next, as plankton populations exploded, rapidly decimating oxygen levels in the ocean. This not only makes the once powerful Deng Xiu completely withdrew from the historical dance. Taiwan is responsible for 75% of marine life deaths. Coastlines around the world, lying with the wreckage of life. This is the second extinction in the history of the Earth, event Devonian mass extinction. But the land at this time was a different scene. Time came to the period of stone exploration, 345 million years ago as they are today. It is in a process of gradual aggregation. Large areas of tropical rainforest are also concentrated here. This made the climate during this period warm and humid. Lush forests and marshes pervade the landscape. This also leads to Earth. Oxygen levels have never been higher. The oxygen concentration was even twice as high as it is now. It is also affected by this. During this period, a number of unusually large cuts emerged. Limesu, there are dragonflies bigger than an eagle. A giant waist insurance over 1 meter long and body size up to 3 meters, and violent giant roads. And so the story of stone exploration has also been called the Age of Bugs. And the meat fins that have made landings? It has also evolved into a stone scouting fan with limbs. Not only has it become the top scavenger in rock exploration waters, the Age of Amphibians has officially begun. Time came 320 million years ago. The Earth's landmass has passed through time, merged to form a single continent, Pangaea. This has made the inland climate very dry. The forest that covered the sky collapsed. Rivers and swamps are almost wiped out. Large tracts of land begin to desertification, so the oxygen concentration drops dramatically. These giant worms, it's hard to adapt. This is the charcoal lonely rainforest collapse event, and some amphibians need to lay eggs in water. It's also been purified by the loss of water sources. The outer membrane of the stone egg gradually turns into a hard shell. So that it can be produced on land. It formed the first egg on Earth. At the same time, some amphibians, they became woolly animals. This makes them, it can be completely free from the restrictions of the water source. To explore further areas and the Earth, and thus began the final epoch of the Paleozoic era, an age of behemoths. Permian over time. 300 million years ago, the sheep demon animal at this time spread throughout Pangaea. and differentiated into Hegongang and Westward Gang. Two major species. The endless battle of the dynasty also officially began from this moment. But at that time, the westbound dragons represented by Alucorosaurus although are still the body length can reach 3.5 meters, armor, but it feeds on plants. On the other hand, Hegongangs representative became the top predator of the second disc era. They're over 3 meters long. The full length can reach 15 cm, feeding on westbound steel creatures such as Euconicus, although Hegongang was at his peak at this time, but not without outliers, like the timid water dragon. A little bit of wind and grass, we can scare them back to the cave. Perhaps it is precisely because of this personality after making it escape. A terrible mass extinction. The time has come 251 million years ago. With a loud bang, located today, the sudden eruption of a superdemand column under the sea in Sichuan province. Huge earthquake instantly tore apart the seafloor plates and spread the active Siberian volcanic region. Trillions of tons of magma spewed out of the floodplain and swept the world at breakneck speed, eventually swallowed half of Pangaea. Although some animals can escape, but the disaster is far from over. Then the volcanic ejecta rained down and triggered a large area of wildfires. The food chain is disrupted as a result. The entire ecosystem collapses completely. All animals die in struggle, and the earth went silent. This is the worst Permide in history. Mass extinction event in this natural disaster not only sufficient destroyed up to 95% of species on Earth. Even once, the Earth's ecosystem that has evolved over billions of years destroyed. But here's the thing, everything still leaves a thread of life. Fungal organism. First of all, extremely adaptable to take over the graveyard of doom. After tens of thousands of years of recovery, 250 million years ago, the Earth has finally opened the tomb of the Mesozoic Triassic due to the early days after the mass extinction. Few large predators. This allowed the aquamarine population to flourish, from the bottom of the previous food chain straight to the top. During this period, the number of water dragons, that's 3/4 of all terrestrial vertebrates. And this is something that no other animal has ever done. But such a rule obviously will not last long. As the landscape changes in 3 seasons, temperatures in Pangaea started to soar, temperatures in the central region of the land, even up to 60 degrees, and it created the largest desert in the history of the planet. Throughout ancient and modern times, very few animals can survive in the desert. But the lizard became an exception. Its strong adaptability, so that they can rise from the desert. Finally, 248 million years ago, once inconspicuous little lizard gradually evolved into a powerful hidden evil. Not only does it have strong defensive capabilities, it has also mastered powerful predatory skills and will dominate the Earth. Nearly 4 million years of water dragon beast as a buffet. From then on, the Earth officially entered the reptile dynasty, and all sorts of reptiles came into being. The competition on land became intense. At the same time, persistent droughts have also raised the Earth's critical point. 234 million years ago, deep in this extremely arid continent of Pangaea, down a long-lost big, during a rainstorm, 2 million wet period. It also completely changed the face of the entire continent. This is the famous Carney 7 Honky incident. All kinds of dwarf green plants, crazy growth like mushrooms after a rain. Once dry land becomes moist, grasslands are gradually turning into forests, and there's been a major shift in species. Previously, those that had evolved due to drought could only dwarf short animals that gnaw on dead grass due to the inability to adapt to changes in the environment, going extinct, and bad turtles and mammals begin to step onto the stage of Earth's history. 230 million years ago, Southern Crossosaurus is born, began to shift the direction of Earth's evolution. At first they were very small, but as the carbon oxides rise, make them bigger and bigger. Eventually, main cages began to make their way onto the stage of history. Although the Earth, it took 50 million years, ecosystem restoration. But in the end, I still can't escape the verdict of fate. 203 million years ago, frequent crustal movements caused a series of global volcanic eruptions and into the atmosphere, emitting huge amounts of carbon dioxide and methane gas, rising greenhouse gases, causing climate change and ocean hypoxia. 76% of species are unable to adapt to environmental changes, eventually disappear from the Earth. This is a triple extinction event. But fortunately, the main dinosaur was miraculously selected by history. Time to the Jurassic period 200 million years ago, the dragon race will rise strongly in this era. Pterosaurs and birds rise into the air. The emergence of mammals. Amazing evolutionary events happen one after another. Dinosaurs have officially claimed control of the Earth. And there are many representative creatures. For example, the huge Diplodocus with a body length of 27 meters, the first pterosaur to conquer the sky, the tyrannical overlord of the ocean, top predator on land, Itron, and stegosaurs that could use their tails as weapons, even the oldest true mammals. Chinese Jurassic beast and so on. It can be said that the success of the dinosaur dynasty, not just the length of the reign, strange creatures, with the help of the environment, bloom such a stunning scene of life. 145 million years ago, Earth finally ushered in the white evil of the explosion of biological species. Countless colorful flowers began to use the animals around to spread pollination, enabling plant diversity, reached another heyday. At the same time, The dinosaur dynasty also
During
reached
this
its
period,
peak. Fengshen pterosaur soars into the sky with pterosaurs for air rights. Amphibious Geelong launching. Compete with primitive evils for control of rivers. The largest land dinosaur. Poseidon stood tall and looked down on the earth. Giant crocodiles lurking by the river. The flying little dragon travels through the jungle. The whole-clawed dragon with the mighty claws of a sickle. Collaborative hunting. The largest ceratops, triceratops, were fighting each other. Weak Yaxi has been transformed. Became a huge dragon. Dominate the entire Beilagi Ocean, and Tyrannosaurus rex was born. Dominated the entire Bay continent, you could say. Life on Earth is completely on its way to a heyday. But this is the one, an unshakable biological empire. After all, it has ushered in a historic one, 65 million years ago. A Sictorub with a diameter of about 10 kilometers. Asteroid at speeds of up to 70,000 kilometers per hour fly towards Earth. Impact in the waters off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The explosive power of an impact, equivalent to 11 times the atomic bomb. Violent impact, let all life within a 1,500-kilometer radius turn to ashes. More than 3 trillion tons debris into space. Shockwave speeds can reach thousands of kilometers per hour, and caused a huge tsunami. Many animals were buried underwater. Although large dinosaurs survived. But the disaster is far from over. Immediately after, the jets from the explosion rained down. The high-temperature particles in it caused a large area of whether on land or in the sky. All the dinosaurs had nowhere to run. Dust in the sky obscured the sun. They last for decades. Not only did it plunge the Earth into extreme cold weather, plants are also unable to photosynthesize, and withered, and those dinosaurs that survived, they all died because they couldn't adapt to the changes in the environment. The entire ecosystem collapses completely, and the Earth went silent. So far, in this tragic mass extinction of White Evil Agent, the end of the most fascinating dinosaur in biological history, and after the mass extinction effects were completely over, there will be no giants. Small mammals rapidly radiate. Evil species weather the storms returning to the ocean and so on. So let's just say that the animals that survive share a characteristic, smaller and more adaptable. In that glorious dynastic period, they're at the bottom of the food chain. Now it has become the biggest winner. But because the blood of dinosaurs is too powerful, so much so that after countless years of extinction, can still exist in another form. For example, about 62 million years ago, ancient athletics, the largest bird of the time, the Gukon bird, inherited a thin dinosaur bloodline. They carry the will from ancient times. After the extinction of the dinosaurs, he became the king of the land again. 60 million years ago, tropical rainforest landscapes give birth to countless insects. They started to multiply, and in the process, they also spread flowers. The powder paved the way for the botanical dynasty that followed. About 55 million years ago, the first true primates appeared. They're tiny, only 50 centimeters, considered human, protozoa and ancient relatives of monkeys. At the same time, large branch of mammals. Its tidal and even tidal finally appear. But strangely enough, some animals are returning to the ocean, become the ancestor of the elite. 8 of the funds are one of the oldest and the most primitive cetaceans. They resemble dogs in appearance, all hairy. They mainly live in freshwater environments, feeding on fish, although they can survive on land. But you can't keep walking. It goes back 34 million years. Antarctica is getting colder, and then it froze a huge amount of fresh water. In this case, it also made the northern regions start to get drier, and that gave the mammals a chance to rise. The largest land mammal, for example, one of the carnivores. Submersible ancestors of modern elephants. Huge and ferocious predator playing with the toothed beast. It is reported that the largest terrestrial mammal, the saber-toothed tiger, a close relative of the modern relatives, the Diaodon, etc. It was during this period that creatures also began to have more and more the face of modernization, 21 million years ago. As the continental plates continue to move, make the Eurasian plate and the Indian Ocean plate perennial parity, a state of indecision, so that the seabed uplift along the 2,500-kilometer Fen River line, ultimately form today the magnificent Himalayas and the world's highest peak, Mount Everest. Then it goes on to 15 million years ago. At this point, the Australian mainland has moved north for millions of years, and in the process, it also forms a vast area of shallow seas. Here, too, a brand new cradle of life. Not only do countless fish thrive here, it also gave birth to the most powerful shark in the history of the Earth. They can grow up to 20 meters. Weighs about 100 tons, maximum bite force of at least 20 tons, can easily crush whale ribs. Is the bite force discovered in the history of the Earth the strongest creature? And on land, due to global climate change, make this period an open grassland. Now the golden age of the prairies, and over the next 10 million years, stimulated the mammals to evolve again. It was also during this period, primates divide into 2 branches. One line becomes a monkey. The other line evolved into chimpanzees. In the process of evolution, chimpanzees were left behind 7 million years ago and evolved to become intelligent. About 440 million years ago, The first batch, ancient human gardens that walked upright, appeared, but due to the many threats on land, so they spend most of their time in trees. Only when hungry, go down to find food. About 390 million years ago, the ancient southern plains that evolved from the Earth in order to survive, an unprecedented migration began. Not only did they go hungry, they are often attacked by various beasts and natural disasters. This was also the most difficult time for human ancestors. Finally, 180 million years ago, the appearance of Homo erectus. Only then did humans have developed limbs and flexible minds and learned to use fire and various weapons. As it evolved and migrated from primitive societies, gradually, the Eurasian continent was covered with human footprints. In just a few hundred years, created one miracle after another. Ultimately, humans, standing at the top of the Earth's food chain, and took over the entire planet.